Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Room 108 at USC's campus in Los Angeles. Once again, we are proud to be presenting another evening of Distinguished Speaker Series in the YouTube Creator Content Program. My name is David Weitzner. I'm Director of the USC Summer Program and Director for USC of this program as well. I'd like to welcome you on behalf of Elizabeth Daly, Dean of the School of Communication Arts, and I will be passing this mic on in a moment to a distinguished colleague of mine at YouTube. But I wanted to take a moment to kind of explain to you a little bit about why we are doing these series and why, in fact, we have this program currently at USC's Film School. The idea behind it, which is certainly the feeling of YouTube and the feeling of USC's Film School, is that we are looking for great creators of content. Whether you have the latest and greatest camera or you have one that is ages old, whether you have the newest equipment, the oldest equipment, a script that's 147 pages or one that's 7 pages, the idea behind it is how to create great content, how to become great storytellers, and how to utilize the technologies of today with social media in marketing your product, in putting the product together, and in building some of the best content that we can have. Our graduation speaker, Sumner Redstone, who is the chairman and CEO of Viacom, is the gentleman who said several times during his speech that he is the creator of the word content is king. It was coined many years ago. It is as true today as it has ever been. So I welcome you. We have a wonderful panel tonight. You're going to have a great time. It is my great pleasure to introduce a colleague of mine from YouTube, has been a tremendous asset to us in putting this program together. She will take over the chores for this evening. Maheen Ibrahim. Thank you.
Thank you, David, who is the co-architect of the YouTube USC Creator Institute, along with Bing Chen. So I'd like to first formally introduce our 3 speakers for this evening, who really need no introduction to most of you here in this room, as well as those watching on screen. But for their parents, I will do this. So Joe Penna, Joe, if you could wave, is a successful young director originally from Sao Paulo, Brazil. Joe began his career on YouTube during the recession when he decided, with a lack of jobs, to take a road trip to LA. Within a few months, his channel, MysteryGuitarMan, rose from obscurity to become the 6th most subscribed of all time. His visionary style and playful content has pushed YouTube videos out of the realm of user-generated content and into the world of independent art. He's worked with some of the biggest brands in the world, including Coca-Cola and McDonald's, and is one of my favorite partners.
Your favorite partner? Is that what you said?
FreddieW, which comprises of Brendan Lotch and Freddie Wong, comprise, again, the channel FreddieW. The 2 met at USC, actually. Go Trojans! On the cinema floor and started making short videos. After graduation, Brandon and Freddie worked on direct-to-DVD and direct-to-TV feature films, with Freddie producing a feature film, Bear, in 2009.
Incredible film.
Raise your hand if you've seen it.
I've seen the poster.
The poster is good.
Let's move on. In March of 2010, they both decided to focus on creating content for YouTube and have been doing so full-time ever since. In the course of a year, their action-oriented special effects Latin videos have garnered them over 100 million views and a following of over 1.4 million subscribers. And with that, I'd like to welcome Joe, Brandon, and Freddie.
Hey, guys.
Let's see.
All right. So what do we talk about now?
Yeah, we didn't prepare speeches, so we're going to wing it. So let's see. What do you guys want to know about?
How many people are filmmaker types, people who want to do movies? Raise your hands. Okay, a lot of people.
That
here.
one guy didn't raise his hand.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean, I guess one of the things that was interesting about YouTube, and one of the things about sort of what we do that's a little bit different, because we come from the traditional sort of world. You know, we went through. I went through the USC film program, and one of the things that I remember hearing all the time is, okay, if you make a short film, the short film is your showpiece. You're going to take that, you're going to shop it around, you're going to get more work off of that short film, and so don't spend a lot of money on your short film, and don't bother too much with it. That's just your calling card, you know. And what's cool about YouTube is, and what you can do now with online audiences and building that, and with social media, is that I think for the first time ever, you can make a living off making short films, exclusively short films. We make one a week, and that's been our source of income. That's been how we've managed to support ourselves, and we have a lot of fun doing it. And it's something that prior to this point, I think a lot of it's been considered impossible, and it's been considered just something that, you know, it doesn't matter anymore. And what's kind of cool about that is, you think about filmmaking kind of like, I guess, any other art. It's kind of weird. Filmmaking's kind of weird because you get into it and everyone's like, all right, I'm going to make my first feature film and it's going to be awesome. And it's like, if you took that like idea and then you took it like anywhere else, it was like, all right, I've never painted before. I've done a couple sketches. I'm going to do this oil painting, and it's going to be
awesome.
So good. It's going to win all these oil painting awards. I don't know if they have those. It's going to be the best oil painting ever done. It's going to be like Van Gogh level oil painting. It's like,
the Cannes Oil Festival.
Yeah, the Cannes oil painting thing. People are going to want to buy it. They're going to be fighting each other to buy this oil painting.
Buy tickets to see it.
Buy tickets to see this oil painting. It doesn't make sense, right? It's weird. Everyone's saying this thing. It's like, well, filmmaking is just like any other art form. You kind of have to practice it. And practicing it means sitting there and just doing sketches and stuff. I remember hearing like Robert Rodriguez, right? Before he made El Mariachi, he had done like 200 short films that he had cut on deck-to-deck VHS tapes. And that's how he had sort of built up his technique and how he built up his fundamentals.
If you total all the length up, it actually equaled like 10 feature films. So his first feature film was actually his 11th feature film.
Or whatever it is. So what we're really thankful for, and what I'm really thankful for, is that YouTube lets us practice that craft of just being like, all right, let's make mistakes, let's keep screwing up. You know, the thing that's sort of a lifelong process. But at the same time, it doesn't have to be something that you kind of, you know, do and then very few people see and you kind of squirrel away with it. You can put that out in the open, and what's very valuable with it is you can get feedback from it. With our audience, every week when we put something out, we get to see like, okay, is this cool? Does this work? And then what are they not getting? Okay, we thought that this was clear in the edit, and this wasn't, and nobody got that joke, or nobody got that story element. So how should we do it differently? And what's cool about that is it's a very iterative process. There's a good back and forth, because when we were doing direct-to-DVD, direct-to-TV features, we'd finish it, and then 9 months later, sales agent would call us and he would say, okay, Spain bought it, Japan bought it, and there's a German Blu-ray coming out. We're like, okay, cool. And then another 3 months later, we'd start seeing, okay, people did not like this or whatever. You didn't get feedback. The idea is basically you would do something, you wouldn't get feedback on something until a year later, which is like, how can you really improve at all if you're doing something and then a year later you said, okay, that was bad, that was good, or whatever, right?
You're going to get old really fast. If that's the rate that you're going through.
What's cool about online and what's cool about online video is that you can get that feedback and you can get that back and forth immediately. And so any sort of improvement, any sort of evolution in terms of technique or ability depends upon, iterations and being able to apply feedback to those iterations. And
I never went to film school, and I totally agree with you. My first video was like me talking to myself, and my camera was just on the tripod the whole time. I'm like, hey, Joe, how's it going? Hey, I'm doing good, Joe. And it was literally, that was it, and like I started picking up more and more and more, about filmmaking as I went along. And I didn't have any friends, so I watched a bunch of like tutorials and stuff like that. And totally, like every single time somebody would be like, oh, you should have done this. I'm like, you're right. So
exactly.
The next time I'd do that. So.
Yeah, it's very valuable feedback too online, because they're strangers. They have no stake in you. Your friends, they're going to be, at the end of the day, they want to remain your friends, ideally. Your parents.
That was great.
Your parents, I remember, I won't say the name of the movie, but we went and we saw a premiere of one of these, like, direct-to-TV, like, sort of limited theatrical run type of movies, and we came out, we're like, this is the worst, like, straight up the worst movie we've ever seen, like, in our lives. Brad and I were there, and we're like, oh,
It was
wow.
bad. It was really bad.
Really?
I'm so tempted to say the name of it, but we won't.
Imprudent.
Afterwards, we'll tell you guys.
Yeah, when this stopped. We went out into the lobby, And there's the director, and there's all the actors standing there, and everybody just heaping lavish praise. Like, oh, so good. Oh, it was incredible. That one scene. And I was like, really? This is, oh, well, yeah, because these people want to do business with them. They're friends. They're not going to say that this is bad.
I just got what movie you guys are talking about.
You think you know? All right.
Yeah.
They're not going to say anything about it, right? So what does that say to the filmmaker? The filmmaker's like, nailed it. Got it, guys. Let's keep going. This is great. Let's keep this gravy train
Do
rolling.
more of it.
Yeah, so
Yeah, that's the thing about anonymity on YouTube or on the internet in general. It's both good and bad.
Yeah.
Good in that you get just raw this is what you did wrong. This is what sucked. This is what was great. And the bad thing about it is being you have to kind of have a tough skin.
Yeah, well, and there's
you're
two
gonna
sides.
See a bunch of comments like.
And there's two sides to that as well, because I think film is very much like a populist medium, and I think it's one of those things that's very much about the collective and how the collective sort of populace, takes it and feels about it. So that's what you're getting, sort of unfiltered and raw from the internet. And and to be fair, and I think that some of the best films are ones that aren't made for mainstream or massive consumption. There's a lot of art films I really like, and it's like, well, this is not something that would work online at all.
YouTube was one of the last pre-Facebook sites that basically the people's usernames are made-up names instead of being their actual names for the most part. Whereas that was right about the same time Facebook came out, and after that, every site's pretty much just your actual name. And so you get the most unfiltered comments since everybody's anonymous.
You guys should change it to be people's real names.
It would clean things up really quick.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that we really sort of enjoy doing on that week-to-week basis. Oh, hello.
Hello. Okay.
She's back.
So I figured if I let you guys talk, you guys would go over and talk about all kinds of things. So
You have your questions, and we were going to cover your questions. I see how it is.
So maybe I know what people really want to hear is how you guys got started and things like
Okay.
that. Brandon or Freddie, don't look at this.
Okay.
So if you guys want to first talk about how you decided to make that leap and not go corporate.
Let's start with Joe since he started before we did.
Sure. How I got started on YouTube. I think I had like a video that was like a real player video, and I was trying to send it to somebody, and
Real player. Oh,
yeah,
man.
real player. It was just that gurgling, awful compression, and they had to install real player before. I was like, I'll just put it up on YouTube. So that's how I got like my first account, and I went through a couple different accounts that I forgot the password of, until I finally was like MysteryGuitarMan. I'm going to try like a character out or something.
Yeah.
And then I had like this really crappy SVHS camera that I found in my parents' attic, and the iris in it was broken, so it was really, really closed. So I had to get like every single light of my house and put it in front of the camera. And I was squinting, and I was like, "This looks awful." So I put some glasses on, and and they had super glue in them. So that's
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
I think that's how I got started on YouTube. So I recommend you guys do the same thing.
Tip number 1 is to write down your password.
Yes.
Write down your password.
Write down your password.
But not in a
'cause
place where anyone can find them.
Yeah.
Find the secret place, but not so secret that you would. Right. Okay.
Exactly. I had some awesome usernames before I got stuck with MysteryGuitarMan. No, but so that's how I got started on YouTube, and I just wanted to learn more about filmmaking or video making as in general. I started out on Windows Movie Maker, which is what I had in my computer, just like the first time I put a title in my video, I thought it was being like cutting edge and awesome.
Did you dissolve every transition?
I dissolved every single transition in between like jump cuts, so like I dissolved
so
into a
cool.
slightly different version of myself. And then I got a better editing system, got a better camera, found like a webcam, started doing like things like that. And YouTube let me from 05, to today, it let me kind of learn a little bit more about filmmaking and just try different things out. And then whenever I can't do something, I'll just do a collaboration with Freddie and Brandon. So
how did you go from your first video of you with the glasses doing the Rubik's Cube to doing stop motion and looping, and now what your signature?
Yeah, my first stop motion video was I was trying to play this song called Marriage of Figaro, and I couldn't. It was just too fast, and I'm not that good of a guitar player. So I tried playing it with a metronome in my ears and playing it real slow. And that sounded awful because I didn't know how to pitch down the thing, so it sounded like chipmunk kind of music. So I was like, I'm just going to play every note and cut them up and just spend like 2 days just literally going through every single note and cutting them up and making them the right length. Put it up on YouTube. Some guy chose it to be on the homepage of YouTube, and that's what kind of got my start. I got like 1 million hits overnight, which was crazy.
It was back in the early incarnations of YouTube that was actually moderated, where someone would choose what
Like
would go
somebody,
on the front page.
yeah, somebody would sit there and be like, "Oh, this video's good. Oh, this video's good," and that little click that he's like, "This video's good," kind of like changed my life to be for me to be doing what I want to be doing. And that's the thing I like about YouTube too, is that if I want to make a video about anything, I can do it. Where else would I be able to make a video with parking meters and be paid for it, or like, phone books or whatever. So usually I have like a song stuck in my head. I'm like, oh, okay, so I do like a cover of that song in like my own special way sometimes. So yeah, that's what I like.
Yeah, great. Thank you. And how about you, Brandon and Freddie?
In March 2010, we
should go back further though, because really we started on YouTube when we were at USC
that's true. Yeah,
freshman year.
That's true. We were always watching YouTube because we're nerds. And we're dudes who are nerds, so we watch YouTube. Brandon especially, by the way, like if you want to talk about like...
Especially a nerd?
Especially a YouTube watcher.
Especially a YouTube watcher. Like Fred, who knows Fred in here? Fred was a little 8-year-old kid, high-pitched voice. Here's what's funny about Fred. Everybody's like, oh, I hate Fred. It's like, hold on. How old are you? 23. Right. Do you like Dora the Explorer? Do you watch that? You a fan of Blue's Clues? Like, it's a kids show. It's a show made for kids. The audience is kids, but Brandon will watch that and he'll love it.
No, Freddie and I have always been fans of basically anything that finds an audience is good to somebody. It's not necessarily good to your taste, but by virtue of having a large amount of people watching it, it's something that's worth paying attention to because it's something that appeals to somebody. So instead of, if you don't like it yourself, the game is to figure out who does this appeal to. Why is Fred getting tens of millions of views and whatever I'm putting up is not, or whatever. What niche is he finding? What's he doing? Why is Annoying Orange? Why are there so many people watching Annoying Orange? So we always try to look at things like we went to go see the Justin Bieber documentary when it came out. We went to see because there's something that's a big phenomenon, whenever something's getting a lot of views, it's worth, as a filmmaker, you owe it to yourself to look at it and try to figure out who is this appealing to and why.
Yeah.
And you'll find yourself enjoying a lot more things.
Yeah, I mean, to have that open mind to say, okay, why, as someone who's just sort of like open to all manner of experience and sort of like trying to understand people in general, you owe it to yourself to check that out. So what else have we done? I've gone to a WWE event. I totally get wrestling now because of that. Read Twilight on a plane. The person sitting next to me thought, well, she was cute, and she didn't talk to me because she thought I was a total, like, what the heck is this guy doing? So we were watching YouTube all throughout, and we were sort of just keeping an eye on that, being like, oh, wow, this really kicked it off. Like, I remember back in the day, like, My Chemical Romance. Wow, these videos are going crazy. Everyone loves this. Okay, what is it about these videos? What is it about that? So we sort of developed this sense of what plays online, what doesn't play online. And at the end of my what was it, 08 or so, I was in the what was it called, IML program. I forget what it stands for, Multimedia Scholarship Program here. And my thesis project was about viral video and how do you make viral video. And so we started just putting up videos on totally dead accounts and seeing like how many hits they could get. And
we'd choose different ways to promote them. Like some we'd spread around to Facebook a little bit, some we'd spread around on other sites that Dig at the time. Dig's dead now.
Yeah.
But we'd spread things all over the place and see what would catch and what wouldn't. And we wouldn't just do this for our own videos too. We'd try to find videos early on that we felt had potential, and we'd kind of stir the pot a little bit, see what was making it go, what were people commenting on, what was the appropriate. Three
videos of note from that thesis project. One, which was a video of one of our friends pretending to steal gasoline as sort of a stunt, and that got kicked around to like morning radio. People were saying, "Look at this," and it was funny because you watch the videos on that. As gas prices go up, people searching for that video also kind of went up as well. Another one was Brandon, sort of amateur pyrotechnician, made he made an explosion cannon. It's basically a potato cannon that shoots gasoline out. You put a pilot light at the end and it blows like awesome explosions out of it. It's a cannon. It shoots explosions, right?
Yeah.
You can't go wrong with this one, guys.
No, because we wanted to make action movies growing up throughout high school. One of my hobbies was basically since we wanted to make action movies, we had to learn how to do absolutely everything that would go into making an action movie. So that's why we started learning VFX, because we had to learn how to do muzzle flashes since we didn't have blank firing guns. And then pyrotechnics. I mean, at the time, now you can kind of simulate it, but at the time you couldn't at all. So I basically started watching behind the scenes featurettes and piecing together the process of it, and ultimately came out here and met with some real pyrotechnics, so I do have some real training. But
third one was a fake video. You can search for this right now. There's a fake video of Kirsten Dunst prepping for an interview, and I play the dad, and her sister plays the parent. And this is like the most amazing thing ever. Was like last year in like, was it Teen, one of the magazines, she talked about, Kirsten Dunst mentioned it. Someone asked her in the interview, it was like, have you seen this video floating around of you prepping for an interview? She's like, yeah, it's totally fake. I don't know why anyone would make a video like this. And my 3 friends were like, yes, we finally got her to come. We took it out, we framed it, we gave it to the girl who was now like in high school, like who had played her in the video. It was great. But so we had that idea. So March 2010, we're like, all right, let's focus on YouTube full time. Let's do one video. At first, let's do like as many as we can, and try and target things. So the first thing we did was, okay, a Portal gun video, which Portal is one of these very popular games on the PC. We're like, let's do a real life Portal gun video. Twilight, the trailer just came out. Let's put me in the trailer. Let's try and latch on to things. Let's try and just throw everything out there and see what sticks. And that's what we started doing immediately for the first 2 weeks, and then we sort of settled into once a week, and then just from there, that's been it. And
right before we were doing straight to DVD movies, and we kind of got the impression that was a sinking ship, because as you know, with piracy and with the internet, straight to DVDs were basically dying throughout the world. And so we're like, well, we can keep making these and cling onto the sinking ship and go down with it, or we can figure something else out.
The way we saw it at the time was like, all right, if you want direct features, where do you go? You either get lucky. Straight off, you get an agent or something, you get some studio gig, which is, it's like winning the lottery in some cases, or just, who you know. So that's a tough one, not really one that was open to us. The one that was open to us was make low-budget features. Okay, but the only way you can get money to make low-budget features is making low-budget features that are sellable. So we would go to the sales agent and be like, all right, what should we make? And he would say, okay, I remember one what was it, November, American Film Market, our sales agent comes up to us and he says, guys, can you turn around, because the MO is like, quick, find out what's hot in the market, turn around a low-budget feature, and take advantage of that right away. So that the next market that comes across, you can sell that to all these territories. He's like, guys, can you make a movie about airplane turbulence? It needs to be an airplane, and it needs to hit turbulence at some point. We're like, wait, what? He's like, I've got 10 people from 10 different countries coming in saying that they want airplane turbulence movies. We got to turn around and that's it. Airplane turbulence.
They don't want it to crash. They just want it to shake.
Like, do you want it to crash? It's like, no, it's just the danger of turbulence. That's it. Like, really? So at the time, so that's kind of what that was, and to an extent, it sort of is that. And I can tell you right now, direct to DVD and direct to TV is a tough gig, because more and more you need that selling point. So the selling point usually is a B-list actor, and B-list actor will run you $200,000, $400,000 straight off the top of the budget. So assume your budget's like $100,000 to $200,000, you have to put another $400,000 just to get a B-list actor. So that's like kind of what the direct-to-DVD world is. And we're like,
We kept having conversations at the time where like, someone's going to emerge. I mean, this is the festival circuit, the direct-to-DVD circuit, that's going away. That's not working. And we're like, someone's going to emerge out of the online market. And so we started talking about what it would look like when it happened. We're like, it's going to, people are going to be posting regular content and be going viral.
They're going to have an audience to begin with.
We're like, and we kept it, every couple months we bring it up again. We're like, waiting, when's this person going to come? And eventually we're like,
let's go for it. Let's give it a shot.
Do it.
Yeah.
And so
that was basically it. Yeah.
That was a long
That was
story.
a long answer. My God.
Hope you don't have a lot of questions.
Oh, what time is it? We're done. It's over. All right. I've already.
Now I have to watch Bear.
No, you don't.
Don't watch
I
Bear.
want to watch Bear now.
Don't watch Bear.
So another question I know some folks had was that what is your ultimate goal with YouTube or for filmmaking? So is it to enter the industry and direct, or be independent all the time?
Changes every month.
She's trying me.
Really good too.
Yeah.
We're going to hold it up for the live stream when you're done, so keep going.
Better keep going. Don't stop. Like 40 minutes.
Do you want me to pose a little bit?
There you go.
So, you know what? 3 years ago, not even, like 2 years ago, I was like sleeping on the floor, stealing my neighbor's Wi-Fi, and eating ramen noodles. Like most of you guys, I think.
Triumvirate of triumph.
No, and then YouTube came along, and then like, you know, I gave myself like 6 months to try out YouTube, and if it worked out, then that's great, and if it didn't work out, it was going to be a PA and some shoots, and you know, get a job as a waiter or whatever, and try to make that happen, and that would have never happened because you know, you need to know somebody, like you said, you know, you need to know somebody, you need to. You know,
it would happen. It just take time and a lot
of effort.
going around.
And maybe when I'm 40, I'm directing my first feature or something. So, you know, YouTube changed my life in like 2 years. So I don't know, when people are like, what are you going to be doing in 5 years from now? I'm like, I really don't know. It might be, you know, here, it might be at the same level, or it might be doing something different. You know, so I want to stay on YouTube as long as I possibly can, of course, you know, because I have full creative control and I can do whatever I want. And I think it's a sustainable thing, you know, where people are just going to keep coming and, you know, we're going to keep doing what we're doing. So that's what I'm hoping for.
Throughout the history of cinema, there's been the studios have always been the gatekeepers to the audience. Basically, you've always needed to rely on getting somebody else to approve your work, getting someone else to finance your work to get access to the audience. What the internet and YouTube namely enabled was, for the first time, you can build your own audience online, and basically so then you can be the content creator, and also you have access to the audience directly, and so you don't need to go through anybody else. And so we felt that was the future of being a filmmaker. And so at the time launching YouTube, our entire last year, the goal was basically audience development, building a good, strong audience that wasn't something to cash out on, wasn't something to just have. It was something to build an audience that we'd have with us, hopefully for the rest of our careers. And so it's been a focus on not just making one type of content over and over again and trying to just maximize views, but trying to build an audience that's very strong, and an audience that's broad and is basically a fan of, not of one particular thing that you do, but a fan of your work, basically. And so we feel at this point we've built that audience, and the audience continues to grow. And so as far as long-term goals is basically to now that we have it, it's sort of a be careful what you wish for situation. Because now that you have it, now we're obligated to feed that audience, basically. And it's not something we don't like doing, it's something we love doing. And so our future now we're looking for is how to basically provide for this audience what they want to see. And what they want to see is long-form content, short-form content, everything between, video games, anything.
A lot of people, they're always like, oh, so you guys using YouTube, as soon as you're done with YouTube, you're going to do feature films and TV, right? It's like, well, it'd be incredibly short-sighted, because you're in a weird point in history, as you're saying, where when you walk into a room now, you can turn around and say, oh, by the way, we have this many people sort of who are fans of our work already. Like, that's, without having done any sort of real feature film, that's a pretty strong thing on your side of the table as far as negotiation is concerned. So it's whatever we do, if it's feature films, if it's television, it's going to be supplanted by that, and it's going to be informing that, and that's going to be a very integral part of it. And so we're not looking to jump ship off YouTube as soon as the first feature gig comes along. It's like, well, hold on, we're bringing something else to the table as well. And also more so, and even to that point, like, yes, feature films, we love feature films, television, we love television. For me personally, what I'm really interested in nowadays is like, well, what's this new digital delivery, online content, web series? Web series kind of has that weird stigma associated with it. Everyone kind of writes off web series. But what is that? What is because I know, I look at my cousins, right, who are, younger than me, and they're in high school, and they don't go out to the movies like we used to do. Like, weekends they spend at home on Facebook, or it's different. So what does that mean then? What do feature films in theaters look like 5-10 years from now for this group of people as they grow up? And I think a lot of people, they're more and more turning towards online, staying at what they can get at home, and there's an opportunity there. There's like this new form. It's like television, but not quite. But there's this new form that's just starting to emerge. And I think there's a lot of potential behind, and that's
a medium.
Yeah, exactly. It's a new medium, and that's something that's very interesting as well. So there's a lot of cool things that can be done, but all of it, I think for all of us, it's all informed by the work that we put into building the audience to the point that it is today.
Yeah.
So along those same lines, do you think that the traditional Hollywood industry is paying attention to you guys, or to people like yourselves making a living off of YouTube very successfully?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
They are.
Yeah, when I first got started, I would tell people that I did YouTube for a living, and they're like, "No, seriously, what do you do? like for a living?" It's like, I do YouTube. I was like, "Oh, great! So you have like a funny cat, or like does he ride the skateboard or something?" No, it's like a.
But that would be nice.
That would be awesome. Like I'm training my dog right now to ride a skateboard. And then I can live off of YouTube forever.
Oh, the cat lottery, right? Isn't that nowadays? Is that not it? Brandon was telling me about this.
Cat lottery?
Whenever you get a cat, you're basically playing the cat lottery and hoping that you get a cat that does something super cute.
Oh yeah.
As soon as you do, it's like kids' college right there.
Yeah, one out of 1,000 cats is a good one. Then he's going to film it.
Just buy 1,000 cats. And then
People try this strategy, but there's
1,000 7Ds. Just keep them running 24/7. That's it.
There's new value added to cats. That's the peak.
But Joe, specifically Hollywood.
Oh yeah, yes, Hollywood.
Who I'm sure watch the cat videos too, but not sure if they're going to make a feature film.
No, yeah. Commercials, especially, for somebody to make a commercial right now, they could spend $500,000, $1 million hiring Shaq to promote it, and then spend all this money putting it on TV, and then have people see it. And when do people watch commercials? People get up and go do other things, or scroll right through them if they're on TiVo. Yeah, exactly. So commercials right now are kind of also a dying breed, so what's more engaging for them? It's a friend saying something to you. So to a lot of people, they consider us as friends, because they come back every week and they're like, oh, I wonder what Freddie's up to. I wonder what Joe's up to. And they come and they see like us promoting some kind of brand or some kind of product. Of course, then we have to choose the products that we promote like very carefully. That's a lot more valuable to a commercial. To a brand, or a lot better than doing like a TV commercial.
Mm-hmm.
So they're paying attention. Also, feature films. You see like Fred was like the #1 most rated thing on Nickelodeon for that week on cable TV.
It was the top TV movie premiere.
Yeah, exactly. And it was him pushing it from his YouTube channel for like a month and a half. So. And when he was on iCarly, like we said, it's not our demographic, but when he was on iCarly, that was the top-rated iCarly episode ever. So as much as people are like, oh, I hate Fred and I do this, that he's not good for YouTube. Yes, he is. It's you have to play the audience.
Fred plays kind of an interesting role in the history of how Hollywood is perceived, YouTube, and the people sort of who do what we do, which is right when YouTube sort of like got out and everyone's like, hey, check out YouTube, this is this new thing. Everyone went to it and it's like, okay, who's the top guy here? Okay, Fred's the top guy here. And everyone's like, this is kind of weird. I don't get it, And it still has that reputation too. If you go around, you sort of get this sense where it's still kind of in sort of the mainstream view, kind of like, oh, that's where 8-year-old kids with high-pitched voices is fluff. You can sort of write it off. Yeah. That's starting to change. And on a yearly basis, we haven't been at this as long as Joe has, but I can tell you at least in just the first half of this year, last half of last year, totally different in terms of how
the tone of the meetings that we've been going to has been totally different.
We go to USC now, and they have panels and things.
And the thing is, what's interesting is that when it started, the tone of it has totally changed. But also, hold on, where was I going with this? I had it going, train was going.
Your meetings you've been having with people?
Yeah, well, what's weird is Hollywood kind of, they're still, it's changing. They're still, what they're looking at now is they're saying, okay, great, advertising. What are we going to do with advertising? Wait, these guys have this big audience. They're good with their audience. They're looking at it like, essentially, this is mass word of mouth. Word of mouth is the best form of advertising, but also the smallest, sort of reach. But like, hold on, this guy's got this many people following him. If he endorses this is like word of mouth, but on a scale previously unheard of because of that relationship that you get. So that's sort of what we've seen a lot of as well. And so it's very slowly sort of the perception of it has changed over, and it's beginning to change over where it's like, oh, okay, hold on, let's look at the type of content as well. Let's look at this both as a platform and as the work that these people are doing.
Yeah. I was on CNN last year. Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
But, and the guy was like, the first question he asked me is like, oh, so how long did it take you to do this? And I was like, oh, yeah, I've been at it for 4 years, And he's like, oh, yeah, how much money do you make? It's like, that's the second question.
Here's the best one. Then he hits you up with this zinger, this killer of a question.
Yeah.
I heard you opened up a 401k. I was like,
Yeah,
People
he said
do that.
too.
That's a totally reasonable thing for people to do. It's like,
Exactly.
you've opened up a
And the whole
401k.
time he was like, it's like,
Like, really? This is your
got a
Trump
401k.
card? I heard you're saving for retirement.
I heard you're getting old. Yeah.
Really?
And he was like, and the whole thing of the piece was like how anybody could make money off of their bedroom kind of thing,
Yeah,
you know?
the title of the story was basically how kids are making money in their pajamas.
Yes, exactly.
And he's like,
Yeah.
come here, talk to me, so I can basically insult you.
Yeah, and he actually said that, you know, I can make money in my pajamas now and sing it in the shower kind of thing. And that's changed
So
to now, like there was another CNN piece that they did, different guy.
If only it was the same guy, right?
If only it was the same guy, that'd be hilarious. But different guy, and was like, you know, these guys are like changing what, content delivery systems, and he used all these big words that I don't really get. And, so I think that it was like a positive thing. You know, it's been like a positive change.
No, it's as far as Hollywood in particular. Basically, as we said before, the tone of meetings from last year when we first started till now, from when we go in, it's when we first started, the meetings were basically us being invited in to explain how it works. Yeah. Basically, it's like it was framed like it was going to be a meeting, but it was really just us going in and
how does
telling
this
them.
work here?
And they're like, so you put
set up for
videos on the internet, and so it was kind of educational, and for them, and we kind of felt like it was pretty one-sided. We went there expecting to get something out of it. Was just us teaching, but in the end, it's actually been quite beneficial because now, as the year has gone on, now we feel that almost everybody we go in, the majority of them get it now. And because they get it, it's exciting, and because they're excited in it, and they're basically at this point looking to us to kind of show them where it's going. We keep receiving word from different people that the people you wouldn't expect are following our channels and watching and really interested in it with us because they've kind of caught on that this is the next medium, that this is the future, and so being that they don't have as strong of a presence on that, they're looking at us to define what it's going to be, to see where it goes, see what works, what doesn't work, and so it's a really exciting collaborative time to really get the chance to define what it's going to be.
Yeah, things like James Cameron inviting like a bunch of YouTubers to just talk about how it works.
Yeah, we had a dinner that was basically just like 10 different YouTubers invited to have dinner with James Cameron, and basically just sat around and talked about and kind of explained what it is, got his ideas about it. We kind of pitched back and forth. It was interesting.
Yeah.
Wow, that's great. Hopefully you guys can have a cameo in Avatar too then.
Yeah. Well, he could put a cameo of anybody in there. It's all CG.
Well, with
I played the
Joe's
helicopter.
glasses. So it sounds like what you're saying are the tides are really changing now, and that people, the fans, are really kind of letting Hollywood and the industry know what they care about and what they want to see. And so I think you guys are really a huge part of that.
Yeah.
So we can switch to some of the questions that have been solicited around the world. And we'll go through a few of these, and then we can go to live questions. So you guys can take a few moments to think about what you want to ask these guys. So the first question is from a person named Sully. Hi, Sully.
Hey, Sally.
Might be out there, might not be.
Oh, she's out there.
Or yes.
Or he.
Or he or she, from Orlando, Florida. And the question is, where do you think you would be right now if you didn't make YouTube videos? So, Joe, if you want to go first.
Of course, throw it to me first. Where would I be right now if I were making YouTube videos? Maybe as like, camera assistant in some industrial oven set commercial thing, because that's what I.
Industrial ovens are so hot.
Industrial ovens are really
figuratively and
tough to
literally.
shoot. By the way, they get.
Yeah.
Anyways, I think that's what I would be. I would try to be doing filmmaking right now. Either that, or actually, I was about to go into med school, so maybe I'd be like going to College of Medicine right now.
If we weren't making YouTube videos right now, we'd still be making short form content because
Stuff up.
I would probably be doing pyrotechnics professionally. But we long before YouTube, our hobby was to do short films, and so we'd still be making short films and learning from it. However, I guess without YouTube, we wouldn't have the feedback.
We'd also be doing freelance VFX right now, probably.
Freelance VFX,
Which is the worst job ever. Oh my goodness. Can you imagine spending 8 hours on it's like, hey, so the PA didn't clean up this extension cord, but you can clean it up, right, with your computers. It's like, yeah, 8 hours later, it's like, great, don't see it.
And that's it.
It's like,
And they've got the nerve to invite you to the premieres after that, where like you sit there and not see your shots, basically, you know.
did you see that
You
thing
can whisper,
that
be
you
like,
didn't
there was a
see?
cable. It was everywhere. It was everywhere.
He lands where you couldn't see anything, but okay. Oh, it's okay.
That actor, no hat, wasn't
Whenever
wearing a
they
hat.
whenever they say we'll get it in post, we just go,
Yeah, that
no, why? No.
Yeah.
Just take the fern out of the way.
Yeah, so I believe we'd still be making short films. Just the ability to monetize it has allowed us to do it full time and be able to focus on doing it at a much more accelerated pace. And also the ability to have feedback on it has let us learn from it much more rapidly. And so, yeah.
Great.
Thanks, Sully. Good question.
Yes, good question. This question is from, I'm sorry if I mispronounce this, Twef from Penang, Malaysia.
Just blow through the names. They don't need their second of fame.
No, it's their second of fame. So this is specifically for Joe. So Joe, when you get married, his fiance is in the audience. I'm not sure where she's sitting.
August 26th.
There she is. August 26th.
27th?
We're all invited.
26.
Yeah.
I will remember
Not
it by the
an
next
issue.
August 26th.
This one. Oh boy.
Yeah, again,
Well, she's going to remind you about it this
Yeah,
time.
that's true.
So when you get married, will you upload clips or pictures of the wedding online or potentially live stream your wedding?
Ooh, fancy.
You should make a fake wedding.
We were considering doing something where like we would print out every frame of some kind of video, and like have all the people who went to the wedding. Who's going to be like 200 and something people? I don't know. There's like 5 of my family coming, and I don't know where she found so many people. But like have everybody like take a picture holding up a frame of the video and it'd be like something cute. But no, I think you kind of got to draw a line between where Joe Penna starts and where MysteryGuitarMan ends, kind of thing. And I think the wedding is like where we're going to draw the line. Yeah. So I put up the proposal. I put up the proposal on YouTube. So I think that's personal.
I flagged it for breaking my heart.
It was an awesome video too. You did a movie trailer.
Yes.
You rented out a theater, did a movie trailer, and then in the end of it was great. It was cool. You can check it out. It's really cool.
Yeah.
It's my favorite video of yours.
Thanks. You guys help me out too. See, like whenever I can't do something, I just go to Freddie and Brendan, and I'm like, hey guys, do this for me.
We just put a couple gunshots in there. It's cool.
So Twef also has a question for Freddie and Brandon. So did your parents ever support you in making YouTube videos when you first started instead of going mainstream?
Yeah, they did. My parents, I don't know, I feel like I've been lucky in that they've always, they supported me in coming out to film school, and they supported me in basically everything I did. And they basically told me long ago that they're like, at this point, they felt like their parenting job was pretty much done. Basically now they're just watching, and they get to see basically what I'm going to do. And so they just enjoyed watching. So they've always been very supportive of it.
Being an Asian male growing up, you would expect this, right? My parents' first generation, they were originally born in China, came here, and they had me. And the Asian stereotype is doctor, lawyer, dentist, right? One of these 3 things you would assume is my destiny, but that's definitely not been the case throughout my life, which is really cool. And my dad and my mom both were, because originally I kind of wanted to go kind of computer engineering, and then I was like, no, I made a film in high school. I really liked filmmaking. I kind of want to focus on film. And they've been supportive of everything that I've done the whole way. And to the point where my dad will, like, as soon as I'm like, hey, I want to do filmmaking, like the first thing he did was like, hey, have you seen this Wall Street Journal article? Yeah, computer engineering is all getting outsourced. You gotta be creative. That's where the money is. I'm like, cool. He still sends me Wall Street Journal articles of stuff where he's like, have you seen this? Have you seen this? This YouTube thing. And yeah, it's like, so it's good to know that my parents have been supportive of me this whole time, and they are very much interested in sort of where this leads, and they are open to everything that we do. So, thanks, Mom. Thanks, Dad.
Yeah, that's great. So we'll do another one of these questions and then take some live questions. So this question is from PJ from Jupiter, Florida. And PJ asks, I am an aspiring YouTube partner and feel I have high quality and consistent content, yet have barely over 100 subscribers. what do you suggest I should do in order for more people to watch and subscribe and eventually lead to your level of success?
First things first, play the cat lottery once. If you don't win, you can keep going.
Yeah.
I had 15,000 subscribers for the first 3 years of my YouTube career. It took me almost 2 years to get to 5,000 subscribers. That first 1,000 subscribers is a huge bump. The first 10,000 subscribers is a huge hill that you have to overcome. So it's going to take a while, and it's going to take consistent content. But I think that's the number one thing that we can tell people: just have a schedule and be like, Thursdays is when I do my videos. Come back and see my videos every Thursday, or just be consistent about it. Whenever you say something, do it. It's like. It's kind of like a friend, saying, well, let's go to the movies. I'll pick you up on Friday. And then they're not there. People are disappointed. It's the same thing with YouTube video making. People go to your channel, it's like, oh, there's nothing new. Or, there's something boring up. Just do what you say you will.
I think it has a lot to do with, you have to kind of be mindful of what the online audience is right now. And it's always changing, first of all. But one of the things that I think is very important is to be flexible, put stuff out, make sure it's at a sort of sufficient baseline level of quality, put stuff out, and see if it sticks, see if it plays, see where you're losing people. There's tools, YouTube gives tools to sort of see where people are dropping off, but use all the tools that you can to sort of figure out if the ideas that you have or the sort of thrust, the way that you're going is a sustainable one, and it's one, something that you like doing, and two, something that people actually want to watch. So the thing that we always say is, don't try and make people, don't try and make videos and then try and make people watch your videos. It's much easier to make videos that people naturally want to watch. So for us, when we started off, we looked around, we saw, okay, there's no video game / nerdy / visual effectsy short film type of content on YouTube. Mega 64 were some of the guys that were doing it, but they kind of dropped off. So it really wasn't there, and that was something that we like to watch, and there's probably an audience. We had this hunch there was an audience there, and we put things out, we tested that, and it turns out, yes, there was an audience there. Epic Mealtime, which are these guys who make, they're basically douchebags with food is what they say.
Yeah.
They make ridiculous meals, right? And it was the same thing. They had a Baconator video. And then you also see this too, there's stunt eating videos. And you look around and it's like, okay, they took that, let's put a character in it, let's turn that into sort of a cooking show where we come up with a conceit every week where it's some ridiculous meal and we, cook it together and we eat it. And that was what they're going off. And they're one of the fastest growing of all time. It was the same thing where they looked for where there might be a niche for their content and then made something for that.
Yeah. Our in-depth YouTube strategy talk is a couple hours long, so we can't do the whole thing tonight. But that's one key point. The other key side of it that we always bring up is that you have to be mindful that the internet is much bigger than YouTube. YouTube, in order to gain exposure through that, you're throwing yourself into, it's 35 hours of content per minute that's uploaded? Something like that.
3 billion playbacks every day.
3 billion playbacks every day, 35 hours of content per minute.
And so basically what that means is it's very hard to show up in the searches. It's very hard to show up on the front page. It's very hard to break through that incredible chatter. Because people always, they're like, oh, well, the internet is now, anybody can put stuff online, anybody can be seen. Whereas in the past, it's just been the people who get on TV. Well, it's not necessarily easier now. The beauty now is you don't have to go through a middleman in order to get in there.
But the problem with the long tail is that's long.
Yeah, the beauty of the middleman is that he's sifted out before all the other stuff. So when you actually did manage to get that TV show, you had a really good chance at finding an audience. Now, needless to say, most of them still fail, but you had a really good chance. So what we always say is you need to think of the the internet as a much bigger picture, because there's much smaller sites than YouTube that also post content on a regular basis that are much more targeted than YouTube. YouTube's very broad; it has everything in it. And so, for example, if we made the Price is Right video right when we started. For that one, we made an account on a Price is Right forum, the biggest Price is Right forum, the only Price is Right forum.
What do you mean the only Price is Right forum?
There's only one.
Shockingly, there's only one. They've all consolidated.
And so basically, we looked around there a little bit. We saw the structure, saw how it kind of worked, and basically we made that video, and then we posted a link to it in there. And of course, on there, since it's a very targeted audience, they loved it. Yeah. They all watched it, and all of them was a couple hundred people. But we managed to hit the front page for that. And
things also like light warfare, which is one we did using light painting. That was one where we said, all right, I made a list of photography blogs, and this is something that's like a fundamentally photographic thing. Let's hit up the editors for those. Blogs are funny because the way blogs work is you're an editor for a blog. You have to write something by 4 p.m. on Monday. And so you're searching for stuff to write about. So the blog editors welcome good content to put up on their site. They're looking for it. They're actively looking for it. So if you bring it to them, and early on for us, a lot of gaming blogs, a lot of attention from those because our stuff kind of fit into what would work for what would show up there. So try and figure out what those smaller communities are and go from there to begin with. So it's a slow process.
So the easiest pace, so if you see the front page as the way that you're going to access new people, the front page of whatever it is the way you're going to find people that are just generally going there. The easiest front page to get to is your own Facebook, obviously. That's also very targeted. So you look for smaller places and use those front pages to springboard you longer. If you set YouTube as the goal right from the start, that's impossible to basically attain. Because unless you have the miracle cat. Because basically right now I think it's about 100,000 views in a 24-hour period in order to hit the YouTube front page, and so basically that's obviously too lofty of a goal for right out of the gate. So focus on smaller ones and work up and build.
Yeah. Also read their like 24-page long thing that you guys wrote about it, right?
Yeah, we wrote it. But yeah, just like a band, you don't first go for a nationwide tour.
First things first, Carnegie Hall, we're gonna do it.
Yeah, exactly. You don't try to sell at Madison Square Garden on day one.
Wheel painting in con.
Exactly. So yeah, first start with your high school, then go from there.
Yeah.
Great. So let's take some live questions now. We have about 10 minutes left. So in the front.
Yeah.
You can wait for the mic to be passed to you.
Because we're live streaming.
I don't like my voice being amplified, but which do you think is more effective? Would you say uploading to other sites as well as YouTube, or just taking YouTube and embedding it in as many sites as possible?
Usually YouTube and embedding it, because that way you have sort of one central place for all of your views. It's one of those things too. Where there's like YouTube versus Vimeo, right? There's the other one. Everyone's like, oh, Vimeo's where the professionals are. There's just more people in general who use YouTube. So, looking at that and being like, all right, well, this is kind of where the biggest flow of traffic is. Probably, it's just
you could
easier.
Also start your own web page and start posting there. Obviously, that's
a tough one.
That's
it's tougher.
way
it's
more
work.
difficult.
Yeah, but it also sort of yields a closer relationship. Not a close relationship, but it's a different path. It's a little bit harder. One of our friends, Brian Ferenzi, who runs 5secondfilms.com, that's the way he went, where they have their own website, and that's where they put their stuff up.
We find that you want to have people come to the same place, basically have a central hub where they expect to find content. You don't want to be distributing it all over the place.
Yeah.
Sure, I'll do one.
Okay, sweet. That was easy.
Question. You guys obviously have a lot of collaborators with other YouTube partners and whatnot. What do you see? Like, how do you guys communicate? Because I'm sure you get a flood of people that are on YouTube going, hey, I want to be a part of your stuff. But how do you communicate amongst MysteryGuitarMan or any of the other guys out there?
Before having a personal relationship, Twitter is the best.
Yeah, Twitter. I found out about Brady. Brady? I like that.
Brandon, Freddie.
I like it. I found out about Brady through like a Daystorm video that you guys did.
Yeah.
And how did you guys find Daystorm?
I met Daystorm in person in the Vancouver Olympics for a contest that I was doing for Samsung, and I
Move to LA is the answer.
We all, once you sort of get going, this is the same as any network, really. You have personal information, you trade contact information. But in terms of trying to get people's attention is, I guess, do exemplary work and try and get,
offer services.
Yeah.
Because people that are on top of YouTube, they're really busy and they welcome any kind of help. So I love working with music guys who, I send them a bunch of crappy files and they turn it into something awesome. I'm I'm totally cool with promoting you because, you're making my work less work for me and also making it sound way better than I could myself. So, collaborating, kind of like filmmaking, it's you work with a VFX house and you work with this and that, so.
You're not going to work with a DP that produces worse looking footage than you could produce on your own. So basically it's any YouTube partner will be happy to collaborate with you if you're bringing something to the table, basically adding value to collaborate together and work on a better product.
But practice. Like you were saying, the way that I started doing my daily vlogs, which is basically where I shoot, because it's not something that I can do. I can't just turn on a camera and be funny like a couple other people, like Shane Carl and Charles Trippy and stuff. So I just practiced on my website, and I put them up on my website where nobody was watching them, or very few people were watching them, and then I eventually moved on to my second channel. So be very good at something, and then offer these services to somebody, and be like, hey, do you guys want me to do all this work for you? Basically, you know.
Hard to turn that one down.
Yeah, and then we'll say yes, and then we'll promote you, willingly promote you. So.
Yeah, when we first met Joe, we discussed making a video that would ultimately live on his channel, and we find that's the best way if you're doing a collaboration, is you want it to be where the audience is. You don't want if you have no audience on your side and they've got a lot of audience, then obviously it's not going to do any good on your side. So you're better off putting it where the audience is and having it drive traffic back towards you.
They helped me using like 3D motion tracking, which for a video called "Looping Again," which is something that I didn't know how to do at the time. So,
but you know now.
And
but
now
I
it's
know
become
now.
a staple. Yeah.
And our phone never rings anymore.
And now we're not friends anymore. So.
No, you have to be very open, especially in this day of filmmaking. You have to be very open to learning lots of software. You have to not be afraid of opening up a new program and poking around. And you'll find often if you just take that first step, go in there, start poking around, read the tutorials, look at the thing, be active with it.
And like even like DPs in general, even like that's the one thing where it's like if the DP doesn't have like a passing knowledge of like what visual effects techniques are available to them, like they're not doing their job as a DP in my opinion. Because it's like if it's a DP, you'd be like, all right, I know that this shot this way can be stabilized. We don't need to spend another hour re-leveling this dolly track and trying to get this shot right. We can do it handheld like this. That's saving you and your production time. So you owe it to yourself as a filmmaker nowadays to learn as much as you can about the various tools down the pipeline.
Kind of like Robert Rodriguez writes about in his book, where he's like, he knows everything there is to know. So when somebody is taking too long doing something, so you can't, if somebody comes up to you and you're like, oh, it's going to take a week to do this one shot, and you're like, no, I can do it myself in a day. Go do it in a day. And they're like, okay. so
you can't get tricked,
yeah,
essentially, yeah.
Great. Yep, I saw your hand there first. Who has the mic?
The guy back there.
Oh, okay. All right.
Ask
well,
it. No,
just
no,
need
no,
my mic.
Yeah, we can have you go for it first, the one with
absolutely.
the mic, and then we'll
Hi,
down to you.
for you three, what kind of impact do you think you guys will make on YouTube? Because a few years ago, there was this internet phenomenon where this British guy completely parodies a Japanese animation video, and now, a few years later, now nearly everybody is doing it now on the bandwagon, and some of those people have even apparently are now voice actors, or at least a small bit. So, what can you say about that?
So the question is, what impact do we have on sort of, I guess, YouTube filmmakers? I know, Joe, you got one heck of an impact on them. There are so many kids doing stop motion now because of you. Like, it is insane. Like, look, I guarantee you, prior to
gun
you,
violence
stop
has
motion,
gone up. So.
yeah, stop motion before and then up. And hopefully, I hope the one thing that we hopefully have done is foster an appreciation for action films, because they are underappreciated and too often overlooked.
No, yeah, I also see a bunch of videos of you guys, or like Quarter Digital when they did their green screen challenge or something.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I see a bunch of like 12-year-olds doing this. Which
is cool.
And, like, shooting like with their hands, and like muzzle flares coming off of their hands. So so like when you get started at such a young age, they're gonna be better than us.
Yeah,
so we're basically taking ourselves out of our jobs, is what I'm trying to say.
They'll be good.
We believe that filmmaking is a very good hobby, and so it's something we've made a point out of always having a second channel where we try to do as in-depth of tutorials as we can to try to encourage people that there's a large amount of hobbies out there, and one that we recommend because it's something we enjoyed as kids was making videos with our friends.
Because it's fun, and it's probably better for you in the long run than playing Call of Duty all day.
Yeah.
Great. So you in the front, yeah.
Just go ahead.
Yeah, just
Go
go
for it.
ahead.
Go for it. We'll repeat it.
How were your friends and family's attitude towards you before your success? And secondly, how did you guys deal with haters? And then thirdly, what do you guys do in terms of, for example, stop motion videos and stuff? Like, do you guys have like copyrights to them, or you guys, welcome all to do all kinds of stuff with it?
Let's do a speed round of that. Yeah.
Friends and family. Go.
Friends and family. My dad at first was like, and then I was like, I'm gonna do it, and then he was like, okay, try it.
Second.
Supportive. Second. What was the second one?
What was the second one? Quick.
Dealing with the haters.
Haters.
Haters. Actually, when you first
Haters
start
gonna
out,
hate.
no. Well, haters when you first start out, there won't be as many, as long as you're producing quality content. Basically, because when there's less comments and less views, people see it as a greater chance that you're actually going to read it, and so they'll be a little bit nicer. When you crossed about 500, oddly, when you cross about 500,000 followers, the hate level goes up because suddenly everyone sees it as an open forum, and rather than talking to you, they're talking to each other. And so you notice we'll watch people right when they turn this corner of 500,000, it goes up. But once again, it's a way of, you have to look at broad trends. Basically, you have to try to keep a track in your head of out of 100 comments. If I got 10 about this and 5 about this and 2 about this, then you kind of break down what the actual reaction is by crowdsourcing it. You can't take anyone
today
too seriously.
that happened because I posted a video on my channel, and I was doing a video with this one guy who does like music. His name is Jack Conti, and on his channel he's got like YouTube has like the thumbs up and thumbs down. The thumbs down, he's got like 63 thumbs downs, and I have like 1,200 thumbs downs. So and it's the same exact video that it's on both of our channels. So it's just the expectancy goes up a lot once you hit that threshold.
So don't worry about it. Always leave
it.
comments open entirely, accept it, and be bigger than that. Don't worry about it.
What was number 3?
Number 3?
What's your third question?
Number 3. Oh, I actually forgot just now. But
Oh.
who are your top YouTube channels besides your second channel and third channel?
Okay. So which channels do we like?
Master Milo 82. Is my
Ruby
favorite.
Dog 189.
Just say the name. Don't say what
Candy
it is.
Girl 22.
All right, those are the 3. Next question.
Gotta look this up. Okay, one last question. I think he has the mic in the back.
This is for Freddie and Brandon. I was hoping you could talk a little bit about your second channel and why you decided to put up your how-to and behind-the-scenes videos and how that affects your viewership.
We find that it's something that people are very naturally curious about. Filmmaking is something for most people that it's like a totally weird thing, and you try to explain like, oh no, we set the camera back up and we do another take from another angle. Like, what, really? They don't just act it out once and it's all captured by the cameras or something? So, and a lot of times the DVD special features are just, they're PR pieces. It's just actors talking about how great it was to act in this, or directors talking about how great the writer was. So you don't actually learn anything. And we were growing up, we were always watching those and be like, okay, and then we're like, all right, that's it, it's done. We didn't learn anything from it. So that's kind of what we're addressing with that. It's like, we really want to show people how it's done. We really want to show that process and hopefully, teach them that.
Yeah,
that's what got me into filmmaking. Sorry, that's what got me into filmmaking. I saw Jurassic Park, the making of, and it had a bunch of those shots that were like, look, this is how we did it, and then this is how we did it, and then that's why it looks like a dinosaur is there. So, and I was like, I want to make dinosaurs.
The reaction that we've gotten about the second channel, pretty universally from our peers, was that it is like, aren't you guys worried that people are going to learn what you're doing and steal your secrets, and aren't you worried that you're just breeding competition for yourself? And we've always seen it the opposite way. We've always seen it as by educating and by helping other people to learn how to do what we do, it's only going to make more content that's out there for the audience that we have to watch, basically. And so there's people, we make 2 minutes of a video per week. That is, we certainly are not holding a monopoly on people's time with that amount of content. And so there's a lot more 2 minutes a week, and we'd love for there to be 20, 30, 40 other channels that do exactly what we do. And we think it'd be great to watch because ultimately the way we come up with our ideas is we look at basically most often I sit there with a blank I sit there with a blank search bar, and I think, what would I want to watch right now? What do I wish I could watch? And if I think of something, I type it in. If it doesn't exist, then we make it so that whoever's next to type it in can watch that, basically. And so I would love for those things to already exist before we make them.
Yeah.
Be
more entertaining.
So if you guys are up for it, we can take a few more questions.
Yeah,
you guys
dude.
have somewhere to go after this. Another video to make.
We
got plenty of bottles of water. Bring it on.
Yeah, no.
Okay. So yes, you in the front, sir.
So in terms of ideas for your upcoming videos, I assume you guys have some kinds of lists of things. I'm just curious as to how many video ideas you guys have already worked out ahead of time as
Currently,
to
right now,
future projects. But then also, if you could talk about your sort of weekly workflow, because I'm a filmmaker and I'm amazed at just the output, and being able to produce a quality film every single week is really something. So I'm curious about your sort of weekly workflow as well.
How long's your list right now, Freddie, of ideas?
Practical ideas, or ideas that I think are kind of cool and actually probably will never be made because they're actually not that cool?
No, the active working list.
The active working list. We have a whiteboard. And it's like, what, 20, 25 on there? 25
on there, yeah. Basically, it fluctuates between about 25 and 50, because we find when we get so ingrained in the creative mindset of like making a video every single week, so much of our time is spent thinking of potential things to make that basically it's really the ideas just keep coming and coming, and so it's a long list.
Are you going to USC?
No.
No, okay. There was a class here I took, actually. It was an ideation class. It's like one of my favorite classes of all time. And it's like, one of the things about it is like, everyone thinks coming up with ideas is just like, it's a big deal. It's this big, hard thing they have to get around. But the problem is if you really concentrate on it, you're not going to get anything out of it. Ideas are like, it's your head pulling different influences from the world around you, putting things together and saying, oh, wouldn't that be interesting, right? So you have to open yourself up to all kinds of just weird things and just try and experience as much as you can. Keep dream journals or anything. Just be open to all that. And once what we found is like, once you sort of get into that, you sort of begin to naturally sort of, oh, well, wouldn't that be interesting? And you sort of start to relate things into it. So at first it can be very difficult. It's very daunting because a lot of people stress out too much about what idea if I'm going to do a movie, I got to make sure it's a really good idea, which is it's bad because you're just like, I'm going to do the painting analogy. I want to do a painting, but I can't paint fruit. So, but you have to paint fruit for a while before you can come up with something else, right? You have to practice. You still need that mechanical, you need to work at it. So even if the idea is not the best idea in the world, go for it anyway. Try and execute it maybe in a different way. Or there's too much emphasis, I think, being put on a good original idea because I don't think there are really any. Yeah. But there's
just paint a lady smiling and call it the Mona Lisa, and it's going to be good.
There's ideas interesting to you, and that's what's really more important. And as far as workflow goes, we basically take the whole film production workflow and just compress it down. So we shoot 1 day of shooting, 1 day of editing, and then 3 to 4 days we'll do color correction, we'll do a sound Pro Tools pass, we'll do a music pass, and then color correct it, and then that's that. And what's kind of cool about being forced to do one a week, and as a filmmaker, it's an awesome exercise. Force yourself to say, okay, every Friday I have to come out with something, because that forces you to quickly come up with solutions for things. And because you know there's always another one next week, you don't get too caught up in that process. You don't get jumbled up with every decision is so important. Because in the end, it's really not that important.
You don't spend 20 minutes working on one frame.
The hardest part with filmmaking usually to get something off the ground is basically setting that date, setting when you're actually going to shoot it, because there's always a variable, and there's always you always think oh, maybe I'll do it next weekend, but then you could figure out I could get even more stuff lined up by the next weekend. By forcing yourself to have a date that you're going to put it out on, basically it forces you to say, all right, we're shooting this day, and no matter what, I'm going to get everything in order, whatever it takes to make that happen, and that forces you once again to think creatively about solutions for how you're going to accomplish it. And go from there and basically get into the routine.
Like your guys' 360 shot, right? That 360 no scope. Like you had a cutaway in there instead of doing the whole 360 no scope, because instead of doing the really tough 360 no scope, what did you say again?
Right. So essentially, there's the VFX shot we did where character jumps off of a roof into a car, and it's like, okay, there's one way of shooting that, one shot, the coolest way, one shot. Jumps off the roof into the car uninterrupted. That would be the coolest. Also extremely difficult. We don't have a rig for it. How can we do it in a way that doesn't require that? So what we came up with eventually was, okay, punch in medium shot, starts the jump. He starts to jump on a green screen, and we put him in the background so it looks like he's on the roof, and he starts to jump, and then cut back out. He's already midair. So now it's just a single 2D element of him green screened out, just falling into it. And then before he even gets to the car, cut in close to the car, and then have him stand up, on the driver's seat and plop down into it. And then those three together, okay, we got the effect through. That was way easier, but that was something that we were like, okay, how can we come up with this and figure out a solution for it that, one, looks right and works. And this is sort of speaking to the knowing about visual effects. Because we sort of understand the visual effects, knowing what we can green screen, we can make those decisions on the set and say, okay, if we shoot these 3 shots, this will get the point across, and they're executable with the effects that we can do.
So, Joe, is your workflow any different?
A little bit, because I'm mostly doing it myself and just like an assistant editor. I don't really keep a journal of ideas. I have a bunch of ideas that I will probably never do because on the day before I shoot, I'm like, ooh, this would be cooler instead. So do that instead. So I really should keep a little journal of ideas.
It's good. It's
It'd be really smart.
A voice recorder or something. You have your iPhone, just voice record yourself.
Yeah. But yeah, it's about a day of shooting and editing, and then hopefully another day of working on tweaks. Whatever the tweaks might be. If it's the VFX that needs tweaks, then that's what's going to be the next day, and then if it's the audio that needs tweaks, then that's going to be the next day. So that's what I do.
Okay, you in the front, and if you could wait for the microphone to come to you, please.
Aww. Just throw it.
Thanks.
Oh.
Or not.
He'll catch it.
Just throw it.
Go for it.
For both Joe and Freddie, in filmmaking, something always goes wrong, right? There's always that case where something goes wrong. I was just wondering if you guys have an experience or thought of something that specifically was horrible that might be a funny story you could tell.
Believe it or not, the one thing that goes wrong when you find yourself, we've been doing this for over a year now, so we produced 60 shorts over the last year and a couple months. That one thing that goes wrong starts to get smaller and smaller, and that's just through practice. And so, at this point, when something does go wrong, it's rarely a surprise. It's something that we knew was going to be a challenge from the beginning, and that's what the issue we're working through that week is.
I'm trying to think what some good stories of that. Well, here's one.
Desert shoot, maybe?
The desert shoot? Do we have
how they forgot our sandbags from the rental house, and then the green screen became a huge wind sail, so we had like 4 guys just holding on.
You never
for dear
know
life.
the power of the wind until you become a filmmaker.
Or
a sailor.
Or a sailor. But there's an example of something, for example, that's one that knowing sort of, let's say, being up to date with visual effects, right? In that case, let's say if you did not have the full have a good knowledge of that, we're boned. Let's say you don't have enough PAs to hold this green screen. All right, well, what do we do about the shot? Luckily, though, if you kind of have an idea, but no, we can shoot without green screen. Adobe CS5 has automatic rotoscoping. We can just do that, and we saved it right there, just with that little bit of knowledge, right? So again, this is just
or shoot it lower so the sky's the background and use the sky as a blue screen.
Use the sky as a blue screen. Yeah, there's all kinds. You'll start to come up with stuff. The more you have to do it, you get better at thinking your feet.
Yeah, the one video out of the last year, we had one video that was a complete failure to launch, where basically we shot an entire video. It was for the Guitar Army video. Basically, we shot an entire video with the idea of doing a VFX on it, and the idea was to composite a bunch of things together that were going along. And I opened it up, pulled the shot open, started working on it for about an hour, and it was very clear that it was completely impossible.
The lens distortion and all that screwed it up. So
we had a lot of little issues, yeah.
It was all, and sort of like, oh boy, what are we gonna do? Oh, we shot something else.
So the next day we just went out and shot a different video.
Arguably I think that's a much better video than what we had planned anyway. So a lot of times, blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
I'm working on something right now that might be a failure.
That's what's really going in your head right now. You're like, I don't know.
Like that one thing. No, it involves like a super slow motion shot that we shot on like a phantom camera at like 3,000 frames a second, and also like the time lapse of like a flower growing. So no, I think it'll work out.
Oh, you told it'll work out. You'll make it.
No, that's fine. It'll be all right.
I think it'll work out.
Yeah.
Great. Any more questions from the audience?
I was given the microphone.
Okay, thank you.
Then talk.
Lay it down. Every art form, there's a kind of sort of battle between the mainstream and sort of the more high-end, more sophisticated art. So speaking of those haters and those feedback you get from the larger YouTube community, do you listen to the feedback, which I assume is mostly more mainstream feedback, or do you want to kind of bring them up to what you believe is more higher, or like, I want to bring them up to this level, so no, I will not listen to your feedback. I believe
you have to listen to the feedback.
Art form. Okay.
Yeah. You have to listen to your feedback because, like they were saying, you kind of have to listen to what your audience is saying, and like to a certain extent, do what you want to do, but to also a certain extent, it's like finding the balance between what you want to do and what people are expecting from you. Like if Blue's Clues came out with something that was like completely out of the blue, and then like Steve had like a gun and was like shooting Blue or something like that would be out of what people are expecting. So you kind of have to walk the fine line.
I find it's all about putting yourself in their perspective, because you can't. I mean, everyone's got an opinion. The feedback they're getting is an opinion, and that must be listened to. But you shouldn't be listening to every single word they say as literally as they say it, because you have to think of as you've got an opinion about your work too, and that's coming from the creator's standpoint, and they are coming from an audience standpoint. And often, like through YouTube, you can find a little more information about them. Like you can find out how old they are, what age they are. Go to their channel, look what else they're commenting on, see what else they've said. Because I mean, if they might say something that comes out of totally out of left field, and then you look at their history and you see they've watched 10 other videos and commented the same thing, it's like, okay, well, you can write that off. But so it's all a matter of just putting yourself in their perspective, because they're not necessarily going to be right but they are right in their own right from their perspective. From what they looked at, that was genuine.
Yeah, and understand too, the world is wide, and it's incomprehensible how many different points of views and how many different people there are out there. Can't please them all.
Yeah,
so,
like when Joe put his proposal video up, he got a lot of negative feedback from his female audience because they were jealous. And you know what?
And from
can't
guys
listen to those
being
ones.
like, why did you propose in such a cool way? Now I'm gonna have to propose in such a cool way because my girlfriend showed me this.
Oh boy!
So,
oh boy!
No, but and also don't let it get to you because like a lot of the times, you know, you read comments and it's like, hey, this is great. Hey, this is awesome. Oh my god, that's epic. That's kind of sucked, and you're like, ah. It's like you kind of ignore the 100 other comments that were like, this is great. You know, so. Especially when they find like that one thing that you missed, like, you know, like at frame 725, you forgot to do this, and you can see a little bit of the green screen on the right side, and you're like, oh, yes.
No, it's amazing. The audience will notice every little
they?
detail, and it's funny because Freddie and I, we try not to sweat the little details. We try to move fast and figure it's all about the bigger, broader picture, and also ultimately on set we feel that it's about having fun and it's about keeping moving and keeping high energy, and we feel that translates to the final project. So we don't take the time to move a Coke can out of the background. We don't take the time if there's
that guy just happened to be drinking Coke. Look,
yeah.
What do you want me to say?
And so all the time, you know, people are like, even on set, our friends will be like, oh, do you want me to move that? And we're like, no, roll film. We'll paint it out in post.
We're rolling right now.
We never paint it out. We don't have any intention to do it. We just say, no, it's time to go. And that's the beauty of VFX knowledge too, is you can lie to people and tell them different things are going to happen in post, and you basically
won't happen.
Will never happen. You decide later on what happens.
Yeah.
Kind of like on the McDonald's shoot, eh?
Yeah.
Like, oh no, yeah, we can totally get that in post.
Joe did a McDonald's commercial he directed, and the idea of it was to do one long take similar to the video that we'd done with him earlier, where basically there's going to be many clones of him going around. And we basically started shooting it, and it's very difficult because it was a long take, and it had to be done in 28 seconds, or whatever.
It was a tough steady cam.
It was like 30 different people who had to be in specific spots.
And so we kept doing it, and after now we were helping Joe out as VFX supervisors on it, and so after a while we brought Joe aside and we basically were like, at this point we can save it with VFX. So, but we're not going to tell them yet because as soon as we say that, they're going to want us to do the VFX. But just know. It's cool if we could try to get it a little more like this. We've hit the bar where it's like we can save it, and so knowing that, like we were able to. Ultimately, the final take was pieced together from
three different takes.
I mean, it was one take.
I mean, it was one take, right?
Take.
Yeah,
that's right. Oh, that's I was thinking of another one. Yeah, the one. Yeah.
Other McDonald's commercial.
Yeah. No, I know which one you're talking about now. Yeah, that's all cool.
But yeah.
Any other questions from our live audience? All right. Yep, you with the watch, but yeah, please wait till you get the. Please wait till you get the mic.
All right. What's your name?
Marquis.
Hey, Marquis.
Hey, what's going on? Okay, so my question is for all three of you, and it is, how important would you say your gut / intuition is in play in everything that you do? And with that, what's an example of a time you didn't, go with your intuition or your gut, and what was the result?
There was one video that I did that I really wanted to do this one song, but we were working with a brand, and the brand was like, no, you should try this other song. And I'm like, all right, if you say so. And the one song that I did was would have been better. So, there have been a couple times where, people told me to do other things, and I was, it was like, all right, so you're paying the bills, okay. No, but, we've learned to kind of be like, no, we're going to do it our way, and otherwise it's not going to be done, So I say always kind of go with your gut.
Yeah, your gut is built from your years of experience back and forth. And ours has been, it's kind of weird talking about it like this, ours has been honed into a six-pack of a gut by constantly putting things out and checking on Twitter, seeing like what people our audience is going on. So it is sort of very much based on what we've seen feedback-wise from our audience. That being said, we occasionally do screw things up. And my favorite example of this was we made a video for Thanksgiving last year. We were like, this is going to be great. It's going to be a Thanksgiving video for our audience. It's going to be a special one. It's called you remember the scene in Inception where they're in the dream, and then it's the the marketplace, the French street
with
exploding.
DiCaprio.
DiCaprio. Yeah. We'll do that, but for real. And with a Thanksgiving dinner behind Brandon and I dressed as pilgrims. This right? You guys are laughing. This sounds great.
Thankception.
So we're going to play the song, and we're going to have the food exploding, and we're going to sit there.
and then the food's explosive. This would be great. We shot it. People did not get that Thanksception was Thanksgiving and Inception put together.
Surprisingly, the world is so big that we thought that $250 million worth of box office receipts would mean that basically everybody knew, between the trailer and because it was in every trailer. Shockingly, probably a quarter of our audience actually knew what the movie Inception was.
Yeah, it was interesting, right?
And so the world's huge.
Ridiculous. Not well received, but we still like it.
And basically, and the other thing,
like that video.
Here's the funny thing. I was up. There's a tragic story. It was Thanksgiving. I was uploading this video, and I was really excited because I'd been up all night working on it. And when you upload to YouTube every so often, I think they've kind of fixed this to an extent now, but we always put it on private first, and we fix some things, tweak some things, then put it public. But there's a small window of about 10 seconds where it's public before it switches over to private. And so
those
in
10
that
seconds
time,
are a long time on the internet, by the way.
And so with a big enough
300
following,
people watching that in 10 seconds, which is insane.
So in 10 seconds, you get 300 people. So the beauty of that is, I got like about 15, 20 comments right there from the first 10 seconds of what people's reactions were. And of those 15 comments, 8 of them were like, "Why are you wasting food? This is the most heartless thing." And I'm like,
which, by the way, we need to address that right now for anybody who didn't like that. That's not how economics works. If you paid for the food, it's not like there's a starving child just off frame who can't eat it. That's not how it works. We've paid the value of it into. Anyway.
So anyways, I looked at him, and me, I was so excited about because I thought this was gonna be I thought everyone was gonna love this video, and so I'm like that must have been an anomaly. That's nothing. That's a fluke.
Yeah.
And there was questions people were already like, and here's the funny thing is out of 10,000 comments later, the trends that were there were all present in the first 20 comments. It's amazing how small of a sample you need to actually get a sample of what it's gonna be like.
Mm-hmm.
Because I could project that outwards, and that's the entire thing. But so we had the negative food comments, and I'll show up, and then I was like, okay, no, it's gonna be different. So I hit public, and then it was just a deluge of people.
I got a call.
Like,
I was back in Seattle, and then Brandon got a call, and there's a very morose Brandon on the other end of the phone.
I've been up for 12 hours working on it. Not up for 12 hours, but
people are hating it. Like, how can they be hating it? We did everything. We blew up that one scene, and the one scene in Inception. It was blah, it was everything. It was great. How can this go wrong?
I'm like, they don't know what Inception is, and they don't. And here's the funny thing.
Also, they don't know Thanksgiving, right? Oh, U.S. holiday,
worldwide.
right?
They're like, why are you guys making a U.S. only video? Do you guys hate your European fans? And we're like, no, we don't hate our European fans. It's like, you guys should celebrate it too. It's delicious. Yeah. So that was an example.
Every once in a while, you kind of have a stinker, right?
Yeah. No, I'm always since I love like probing the audience. I love seeing what will play and what won't play, and seeing in social dynamics what people react to. My intuition is always to do things that are a little more racy, a little more startling, and so I found I have to tone that back to an extent because sometimes you don't want to make something.
And then occasionally, for example, we did a Ninja Warrior video, and I remember our conversation before that was like, ooh, we sucked on the course because it's hard. And it's Ninja Warrior, and we didn't train at all for it, so we actually did poorly on it. We're like, oh, people are just going to tear us apart for doing poorly on it, and that wasn't an unfounded sort of concern.
And here's the thing too: before people comment on YouTube, and this is pretty true in life, because even with friends, you probe your friends first, but they'll take a quick glance at what the comments are, and if their thoughts are in line with what they see, they'll post it. If their thoughts aren't, and just like with your friends, you come out of a movie, no one ever wants to be the first person to say their opinion of the movie.
Sucked.
You get up and you kind of look around, you see what other people think, and one person's like, and you're like, oh, I hated it, I didn't like it at all.
Yeah.
And so basically,
you're looking for it's social proof is what it is. It's like you won't go against the grain if the grain isn't already going in the way you were thinking of going.
And so,
good sentence, that one.
And so we like to, before we post a video up, we'll talk about what we think the reaction will be, what people will think, and we try to prep people with talking points that we think will be positive for the video. And so we'll add little details that we know people will comment on, like if we composite in the TARDIS from Doctor Who into the background of one shot, we know that about 10% of the comments are gonna be like, oh, Doctor Who at 30 seconds or whatever. And that'll be enough to tip the comments a certain way. And so with Thanksception, the way we saved it is we immediately we made a donation of food to the food shelter and put an annotation at the end saying, don't worry guys, we made a donation that was twice as big as the amount that we wasted to the local food shelter. And after that, it shifted the tone of it.
Yeah, the tone
and
changed.
so all you need to do is get the tipping point of comments to a point, and you basically promote positive things. And I know a lot of what people have done lately is they'll add a talking point. Like at the end of the video, they'll ask people to be like, this is the comment question of the week. And so by steering the conversation, they basically direct people away from
negativity.
talking
I
points.
changed the title of my video today. It used to be 3D with no glasses, and if you look at it like really carefully, you can see because what I did is I shot it with an actual 3D camera, and it's going back and forth between the left and the right frame. And if you look at it like really closely, you can see that it's 3D. Problem is that whenever you say phrases like "if you look at it really closely," it doesn't work on the internet. You know? So the title of it used to be 3D with no glasses! ! All caps. And then I switched it to the title of the song because a lot of people are like, "This isn't 3D. This looks crap. I'm watching it with my real D glasses and it's not working." It's like that doesn't work on YouTube. So
Not how it works.
yeah, so you kind of steer the conversation in one way or another. You reply to a comment, and then that goes to the top of the list, and it's like, like some insightful question. I forget who asked. Oh yeah, like some insightful question, and you reply to that, and people are like, oh, that was a good question. This is a good video.
So that's a very good exercise to do too. Is before you put any piece of content down, and really you can do this with anything. Before you turn a paper in, before you do anything, you take a look at it and honestly think, what is the feedback that I'm going to get for this? Mm-hmm. Because what you're trying to do is basically calibrate your sense for what the audience is, whether it be a professor.
It's doing crunches for your gut.
Doing crunches for your gut, exactly. And so by thinking before and being an honest critic of yourself and be like, what are people going to latch onto? What are they going to like? What are they not going to like? And then putting it out and comparing that to the reality. You'll slowly over time get better and better at knowing how to gauge that audience and having a good sense of how things are going to be received.
Great. So let's take one last question from the audience. All right, you in the front with the glasses, and again, please wait for the mic to be passed to you.
And then we have to show her drawing to the internet. You have come up with it, own it.
Oh, we good. Here we go.
Whoa.
Hold on, we'll get there. We'll get there.
We'll get there.
Gotta zoom in the back, yeah.
Yeah, they're on it.
Nice.
I see
That's 2 thumbs up.
Means that we know how to zoom on this camera.
Quick, get the manual.
Okay, go ahead.
When you first started out and you decided on a weekly video schedule, how were you able to find a consistent team of people to help out with the shooting from week to week?
Well, our team is Freddie and I, and so that was easy.
You ask your friends and you work around them. It's one of those things where more and more being a jack of all trades is helpful, and being able to wear many hats is, on one hand you have the danger of overgeneralization and not being able to specialize, but at the same time having a broad, it's that balance. So we try and wear as many hats as we can. We try and call in favors or from friends whenever they're available, whenever they can. And the big thing too for us is like, you got to make the shooting process fun. Like, that was one of the big problems with when we were working on actual sets. It's like, it sucks. Like, really, it really does. Are you kidding? It's like everyone's super stressed out. Everybody thinks like filmmaking is the equivalent of going to war. It's like
they talk about how tired they are, and it's the most stressful.
Oh no, that's the best one. Oh, here's
in
the best
between
one.
smoke breaks.
Oh, best, yeah. What was the job you were doing? With the bag, the potato bagging, was it?
Oh, the hardest job I ever worked is I did a summer where basically my job was to sit in the back of a corn wagon in the heat, and my job was I was the bag shaker.
Yeah.
In Minnesota. So basically, as corn fell into the bag, I had to shake it to ensure that 50 pounds fell into every single bag, and so that was 12 hours a day of shaking 50-pound weight like this. I was ripped at the time.
Humid, summer, Minnesota. And meanwhile, someone's coming up to you, smoking a cigarette, and being, man, this is a tough gig. It's like, are you serious?
Yeah,
Come on.
And they compare it to war. They're like, oh yeah, it's like going to war. It's like
deploy those C-stands.
It's so insulting to the actual people. Yeah.
Those C-42s.
Yeah. So as a filmmaker, you're an entertainer. You're trying to make entertainment. And so what we found is that entertainment, people forget that you're an entertainer on set as well as a director, as an organizing. So think of it as you're throwing a party, especially when you're not paying people to be there. Because if you pay people to be at a party, they'll come and they want to have fun, which is basically what filmmaking usually is. So instead, we think it was basically you have to do the basics. You have to get food, you have to get drink, you have to engage with everybody. It's the same thing as being a host of a party, basically. Talking to people, introducing people to other people, having them hang out. And that helps also without being so anal about continuity, basically keeping things moving fast, providing a different fun experience.
Don't get so far up in your head. They're like, no, I gotta do another take, and just get 20 takes in. And if you're totally blind to the fact that all your friends who've come there to help you are like throwing their hands up and be like, what am I doing with my Sunday afternoon? Then you failed, I think.
Yeah, because ultimately, if you're doing stuff on a regular basis, you want them to want to come back, and so you have to make it fun so they'll want to come back. And We found it. I mean, in the beginning, most of our shoots were just Freddie and I. They were smaller scale videos, and then as we were doing this regular thing,
we would do occasional larger scale ones.
Friends would see the videos, and they were like, "Oh, I'd love to come by. I'd love to come help out." And we took them up on that, and we had them come by, and we made it fun and try to engage people. And they come by, and especially since there was a schedule to it, since we were doing it on a weekly basis, people more and more they were like, "Oh, I'll come to the next week. I'll come to the next week," and they kind of keep building it from there.
Plus, you live with like 30 other filmmakers. So.
Yeah, we live with some other friends, basically, that we made films with earlier.
Roommates are good.
Roommates
Siblings,
are good.
if you have them.
Surround yourself with like-minded people.
It's always key.
Great. How about you, Joe? How do you get people to work on your videos?
I'm the I on my team.
Joe's a one-man show.
I did a lot of like for like 2 years. I would stay up till 4 o'clock in the morning just editing my videos and perfecting it kind of things, until I was able to find somebody who had trusted enough to help me out. But yeah, it's always fun whenever you work on collaborations with other people. So like Freddie and Brandon, or like tomorrow I'm shooting also a collaborative video with other people. So. Yeah, just find people who are excited about it, people who would do it for free, because that's anyone who's on YouTube or anyone who's successful at what they do, they would be doing what they do for free anyways, so because it takes hours and hours and hours to get to the point where it's sustaining itself, so hours and sometimes weeks and years. For me, it took like 3 years before I made a penny off of YouTube. So, it's something that I would be doing anyways. Find other people like that.
Great, thank you. So,
We have a drawing.
So Lauren, one of the participants of the Creator Institute, if you want to come up and present your drawing.
Thanks. Doesn't sound.
Face the camera.
What's your channel?
Transient Art.
Do you want the mic?
Oh, sure. Why not?
And here we have.
Okay, I'm Lauren Nash, and my channel is Transient Art. I make
I'm gonna hold
videos.
this real steady here.
Do you have a Twitter?
Yes, Transient Art, and can go to transientart.com. I make videos about my art. I actually draw and paint and do speed ups and.
Okay. All right. We're gonna invite everybody to tweet at you their honest opinion of your work, and you're gonna not. And you're not gonna take offense.
This is good, by the way.
I think
Do
it's
I do this?
I'm quite
ready. It says ready on it.
quite fetching in this one, actually. But yes, thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thanks.
Good work.
So on behalf of USC and YouTube, thanks to those who came to attend the talk and asked great questions and staying over time. So thank you guys. And our last talk for the series will actually be on June 14th. And that will be the director, McGee, who's directed such works as the Charlie's Angel series, as well as the last Terminator movie. So he'll be here same time, same place on June 14th. And lastly, let's give a round of applause to Freddie, Brandon, and Joe for coming out and sharing their thoughts. Great. And with that, have a good night.